Welcome everyone. Today we are going to discuss Z transform. In the previous videos we have already discussed Laplace transform and Fourier transform. Laplace transform was used for continuous time signals. Today we will study Z transform, which is used for discrete time signals. So the continuous time Fourier transform, which was the Fourier transform that we have discussed so far, is equivalent to discrete time Fourier transform. So the discrete time Fourier transform, or DTFT, is the discrete time equivalent of continuous time Fourier transform. Similarly, Z transform is discrete time equivalent of Laplace transform. Laplace transform was used for continuous time signals. Z transform is used for discrete time signals. Just like Laplace transform was the general case of continuous time Fourier transform, Z transform is the general case of discrete time Fourier transform. And if you remember, we studied that the continuous time Fourier transform converts continuous time signal into frequency domain representation. Similarly, discrete time Fourier transform converts discrete time signal to frequency domain representation. Similarly, we said that the Laplace transform has the Laplace domain is a complex domain. S is a complex variable. In the same way, Z transform is also a complex domain, and Z transform Z is also a complex variable. And just like Laplace transform, we could comment about the magnitude of the signal, and from there we could comment on the stability of the signal. Similarly, in Z transform, we can comment on the stability of the signal or system. So to represent Laplace transform mathematically, if we have a function x of n, which is a discrete time signal represented by this n, if we take its Z transform, we will get a function of x of z, where z is a complex variable. So the Z transform converts discrete time signal into complex frequency signal or complex Z domain signal. And the definition of Z transform is x of z is equal to summation n runs from minus infinity to infinity x of n z power minus n, where z is the complex variable and x of n is the discrete time signal. This definition is for bilateral or double-sided Z transform. In unilateral or single-sided Z transform, we will have summation which will run from 0 to infinity. So here the summation is running from minus infinity to infinity. That's why we are saying this is a bilateral or double-sided Z transform. Notice that in a Laplace transform we used to have integration. In Z transform we are now having summation, where z is the complex variable and z is represented as z is equal to r e power j omega in polar form. So where r is equal to the magnitude of z and e power j omega is the complex argument or the imaginary argument, which is called the angle or phase. So this z is usually represented in polar form, and from this polar form we have a polar plot which is like this. As you can see, from the polar form we have a polar plot like this. You can see we have a circle, because if you change omega, r is the magnitude which will remain constant, so omega will change, and now we have the circle like this. So this is called the z plane, which is a complex plane, and it has real and imaginary values, where the real value is r, which is the magnitude of z, and imaginary value is g omega, which is the angle or phase of the z. Now what is the condition of existence of Z transform? Again we have written the definition of Z transform. Fine. For the Z transform to exist, the Z transform must be absolutely summable. So this magnitude of this must be less than, this must be finite. This Z plane must be finite. For that we have, because x of z is equal to, according to the definition of the Z transform, it runs from summation from minus infinity to infinity x of n z power minus n. So this must be a finite value, we can take the summation out of this equation. So the summation is out, so this must be less than infinity, which means this must be less than which means that this must be a finite value. Now we have z is equal to r e power j omega, so we will substitute z here. After substituting z, we have substituted z as r e power j omega here. We can write this as r power minus n and g power minus j omega n. Now this e power minus, the magnitude of this is 1, because this will be some cosine omega n plus iota into sine omega n, and that magnitude will be cosine square plus omega plus cosine square plus sine square whole under root, and cosine square plus sine square is 1. So this is equal to 1. So if we replace 1 here, this will be equal to 1. Now we will have this equation. So x of n r power minus n must be a finite value. So this is the condition of existence of z transform. Remember, the condition of existence of Laplace transform was that the input signal multiplied by e power minus sigma t needed to be absolutely integrable. Similarly, for z transform, the input signal, which is in discrete form, multiplied by r power minus n needs to be absolutely summable. Just like in Laplace transform, the input signal multiplied by e power minus sigma t needed to be absolutely integrable. Here the input signal multiplied by r power minus n needs to be absolutely summable, and this is the condition for existence of z transform. Now if we put r is equal to 1, we get condition for existence of discrete time Fourier transform. So if r becomes 1, then we have this condition, which means that the input signal must be absolutely summable. Remember that for the condition of existence of continuous time Fourier transform was the input signal must be absolutely integrable. Now in discrete time, the condition for existence of discrete time Fourier transform is that the input signal needs to be absolutely summable. The input signal needs to be less than infinity, which means it should be a finite value. So in continuous time Fourier transform, the input signal needed to be absolutely integrable. In discrete time Fourier transform, the input signal needs to be absolutely summable. Notice that when we get r is equal to 1, we are converting a z transform into a discrete time Fourier transform. Fine. And this is our relation between z transform and discrete time Fourier transform. We know the definition of discrete time Fourier transform, which is this thing, and we know the definition of discrete time z transform, or we know the definition of z transform, which is this thing. Now what I will do is, because we know that z is equal to r e power j omega, so I will substitute r e power j omega here, fine, in this z. So after substituting r e power j omega here, I tried to rearrange it, fine. So now we have this equation, and then when r is equal to 1, when we know that 1 power minus n is also 1, so this r power minus n will be equal to 1 and e power minus j omega n. So we will have this equation when r is equal to 1, and this is the equation of actually discrete time Fourier transform. So if r is equal to 1, then what we get, we are getting discrete time Fourier transform from the z transform. When r equals 1, we are getting discrete time Fourier transform from the z transform. So then x of z is equal to x of e power j omega. So when z is equal to e power j omega, or when r is equal to 1, then what we are getting, then the z transform is being converted into the discrete time Fourier transform. So we can say that the discrete time Fourier transform is a special case of a z transform obtained by restricting z to lie on the unit circle. So if r becomes 1, then we are getting this. So if, for example, here we have r is equal to 1, this is my circle, pardon my drawing. So if this r becomes 1, if the magnitude of this is 1, then on the unit circle we have the discrete time Fourier transform. Fine. For example, here I will go back to, this is my entire z plane. Now if this r becomes 1, this is my entire z plane, and x of z is defined on this entire plane. X of z is defined on entire z plane. Fine. And if r becomes 1, r equals 1, we are getting discrete time Fourier transform. So the x of e power j omega, which is a discrete time Fourier transform, is defined only on this unit circle. On this unit circle, x e power j omega is defined. On this unit circle, discrete time Fourier transform is defined. Again, have a look. This is the z plane, which is a complex plane with real and imaginary values. X of z is defined on the entire z plane, and x of e j omega, which is the discrete time Fourier transform, is defined on this unit circle. Fine. Now we will go, if it's clear. And then we have the z transform of some of the common signals. The z transform of unit impulse signal is 1. If we have a shifted version of unit impulse signal, then that will be z power minus n naught. Z transform of unit step signal is 1 minus z power minus 1, which is z divided by z minus 1. And the z transform of minus u minus n minus 1 is also the same. As you can have a look, the z transform of both of these functions are same, but the region of convergence here, the region of convergence of both are different. So we can conclude that two different signals can have the same z transform, but they can have different region of convergence, and that's why the region of convergence is needed. If I give you a z transform, if I tell you to find the inverse z transform of both these functions, you could not predict the inverse z transform of these functions, because you also need region of convergence to find. So to find the inverse z transform, you not only need the z transform of that function, but you also need the region of convergence. And then we have n u power n minus n u power n, n square u n cube, a power n u power n, which is 1 minus a z minus 1. Fine. So there we have defined a bunch of signals, and these z transform along with the region of convergence, sine omega n, cosine omega n, etc. So I will do one example of z transform and ROC. For example, if we have a function which is a power n u of n, we are required to find the z transform and ROC, and we know the definition of the z transform. Because we have u of n, so the n will the summation of n will run from 0 to infinity. So we know the definition of the z transform, which is the input signal multiplied by z power minus n. So this is my input signal I have put here, and then we have e power minus n. I have arranged this at ez minus 1 whole power n. I can arrange this like this. Now for n is equal to 0, if I put n is equal to 0, we are getting x of z is equal to 1. For n is equal to 1, we are getting as z power minus 1. For n is equal to 2, e power a z power minus 2. So my z transform will be the summation of all these, and they will run till infinity. It will be 1 plus a z power minus 1, a z power minus 1 whole square, and so on. Now if you look at this, this is my geometric expression with r, which is the common value. R here equals to a z power minus 1. So this is actually a geometric progression. If you remember from FAC, we had a geometric progression in which we have a common ratio. Here the common ratio is e power z minus 1. So the common ratio is a z power minus 1. Now we know the formula of the sum of this geometric progression till infinity, which is the first term divided by 1 minus common ratio. So the first term is 1 here, common ratio e power z minus 1. So I have replaced here first term and then the common ratio. I have rearranged it, and then we get z divided by z divided by z minus a. Now to find the region of convergence, we know that the pole of this function will be equated by equating its denominator to 0. So the pole of this is z is equal to a. So we have a pole at a. Fine. And the region of convergence, because I have u of n, so the region of convergence will be like this. What we will do is that we will first draw a unit circle. This is my unit circle whose magnitude is 1. Then I will draw a dotted line for the pole which is a. A can be any value. If A is equal to 0.5, for example, A is equal to 0.5, let's suppose. So if A is equal to 0.5, I will have a dotted circle of 0.5 like this. Again, pardon my drawing. So this is now 0.5. Now the region of convergence is, because we have a power n u of n, so the region of convergence is z greater than a. So all the region where z is greater than 0.5 is my region of convergence, just like this. So this is my region of convergence, because we have a pole at 0.5 which is represented by this dotted line, and then we have the region of convergence, which is this all. Do not confuse the pole with this one. This is the this line, this solid circle is of the unit circle. Fine. Now we have a is equal to 0.5, and we have this a power n, which is 0.5 power n u of n. 0.5 power n u of n. And we can directly tell that this system is stable, because as n approaches to infinity, my for example, my first value will be 1, then we will have 0.5, then 0.25, and as n approaches to infinity I will get 0. So this system is a convergent system. So this system is a convergent system, which means that this system is stable. This system is what? This system is stable. And to know about stability in Z transform region of convergence, we look at the unit circle. If the region of convergence includes this unit circle, we say that the system is stable. If the region of convergence does not include the unit circle, we say that the system is unstable. Again, in region of convergence, for stability we look at the unit circle. If the region of convergence includes unit circle, we say that the system is stable. If the region of convergence does not include the unit circle, we say that the system is unstable. For example, we have 0.5 here, so we have a dotted line of 0.5, and then we have this region of convergence, and this region of convergence is included unit circle, which is why this was a stable system. If I have a is equal to, for example, 5, if I have a is equal to 5, then we know that we will have here 5 power n, and this is a divergent system, this is an unstable system. Fine. So we can tell directly from this equation, from this time domain, discrete time domain equation, that this is a non-stable system. How we will see in region of convergence? Again, we will draw the z plane, we will define the unit circle. This is my unit circle. Now my pole will be z divided by z minus a is now 5, so my pole is at 5, so I will have a 5 here. For example, this is my circle of magnitude 5, and the unit and the region of convergence is z greater than a, so this will be greater than a. All the values greater than 5 will be in my regions of convergence. So as you can have a look, now the z greater than 5 does not include this unit circle. This region of convergence does not include this unit circle. That is why this system is unstable, and we see it from the time domain that this system is unstable, because 5 a power n u of n, my first value will be 5, then 25, then 125, and so on, and it will go on increasing till infinity. So this is an unstable system, and we can see it from the region of convergence also. That's all for today. Thank you.